Okay, friends, good evening and welcome um, to the 12th teaching session of our course on faith and active citizenship. And today also will be the last teaching session. And next week we will have a special session, panel session. Different panelists will be coming, and after that we will start with our final assignment presentation by all the participants. So we are this evening we are privileged to have Mr. Vishal Arora with us, and he will be speaking on the topic the role of media in political engagement. And if my memory is correct, this is the third time he is taking class for the cohort of Faith and Active Citizenship. And he's a journalist with 25 years of experience covering politics, international relations, and human rights in South and Southeast Asia. Currently, he's a founder of an online narrative magazine, Newsreel Asia, which uses journalistic storytelling to generate empathy and promote conversations around people centric issues. He has been published in the Washington Post, The Guardian, The Wall Street Journal, The Diplomat, uh, Nikkei Asian Review, Bangkok Post, Al Jazeera World Politics Review, and many more media outlets. He specializes in visual storytelling that aims to change audience perspectives and humanize statistics and issues. He has taught video journalism as a guest faculty at Indian Institute of Mass Communication, Delhi University, Jamia Millia University Islamia, Indraprastha University, Hyderabad University, Banaras Hindu University, Bennett University, GD Goenka University, and the North Cap University, among others. He has also led video journalism training programs in Bhutan, Nepal, Bangladesh, Indonesia, the Philippines, Uganda, and the States. He's working on a program to launch a new genre in journalism, which can loosely be called cinematic journalism and can be described as a marriage between journalism and filmmaking. He has spoken in conferences on freedom of expression and religious freedom in the UK, the US, India, Indonesia, and Nepal. He has also taught opinion writing and visual communication to members of Tibetan civil society organizations and members of Tibetan parliament in exile. His stint as a journalist began after teaching of the French language and working in the non-governmental sector. He lives in Noida, New Delhi, National Capital Region, and yeah, later I can pass on his email ID to contact him in case if anyone is interested. Even his wife, uh, Ms. Temina Arora, also was part of TRACI, and we're working together earlier. And she leads the one of the leader of the ADF, the Alliance Defending Freedom in India. So, and we are happy that Mr. Vishal Arora is with us. And as his profile says, he's internationally acclaimed resource person and media journalist. And we are really privileged and blessed to have him. And I hope that we will have a very blessed time of learning together and also learning from Mr. Vishal. So we will start this session with a word of prayer. May I request Dr. Sujada to lead us in the opening prayer?
Shall we pray? Heavenly gracious Father, we thank you once again for this wonderful opportunity, O Lord, which you have given to us throughout this course. Lord, you are giving us a different kind of revelation. You are helping us to understand things in a different way. And thank you so much for once again, Lord, for this wonderful opportunity that we are going to have to hear from such an eminent person. And Lord, we are looking forward to learn something new. I commit each one of us in your mighty hands, especially the speaker, that you please help him, guide him, and protect him. And Lord, give him your deliberation, your wisdom, your words, so that, Lord, whatever happens will be glorifying you. I commit each and every person in your mighty hands. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Yeah, we will be having the breakout room after Mr. Vishal's lecture, and then we will come back together for a time of interaction with Mr. Vishal. Over to Mr. Vishal.
Thank you so much, Mr. Isaac. Always a pleasure, and very happy to see an international group. These are some of the countries that I have visited. In Africa, of course, Uganda, I have written a lot about Nigeria. I know the situation, the abductions to the killings that happened there by Boko Haram, Fulani, and others. Very sad, actually. Many Christians rightly call it a genocide, an ongoing genocide in that country. And I have not been to Zimbabwe, but yes, Kenya I have been, and Sudan quite a lot, several times actually, 4 or 5 times, spent a lot of time there. Um, so very happy that these are countries and people I'm familiar with, and always good to speak to a familiar group of people. Even otherwise, like we are all Christians, so that also is something which naturally brings us together. Uh, I should start the presentation. All can see the slide. Okay. So
Yes.
let's look at uh, what role media can play in our political engagement. I won't go much into why we need to be politically engaged as citizens, and especially as citizens who are Christian. I hope that that has already been dealt with. It's a given now for us that we need to be making a difference as Christians, and uh, this will be largely through our political engagement. So let's break it up into 2 parts this whole session. One, let's try to understand what really media is. And then also let's understand what political engagement is and what are some means that we can use to engage politically to see a difference. Now, very first thing we need to talk about is what exactly is media and who is a journalist, because these two are fundamental to uh, our use of media for political engagement. Now, we know that a lot has changed when it comes to the media. Now, whatever newspapers that come to your mind in your respective countries, uh, many a times you may think that the media is only these number of newspapers that I can count on my fingertips. Uh, in India, of course, there are hundreds of media, but if you look at national media, there aren't too many when it comes to the uh, newspapers that are popular or news channels that are popular in the country. And I assume that that's also in other countries in Africa and elsewhere. Uh, Now we know that there is also something called social media, right? Because after all, what is media? Media is simply a medium of communication. When we communicate not with one person or not with a small group of people, but we communicate with masses. That's why we call it mass media, right? Now, if we look at the nature of social media, potentially that's also uh, you know a means to reach masses, and many people do. Today you have individuals in India and elsewhere who reach individually, they are able to reach more, a bigger crowd than many established media are able to. Like they have millions of views each time they post something, right? So can we say that if an individual who is sharing something on social media and is popular and his messages are reaching millions of people, would we say that now, for in that perspective, even social media becomes a news media, right? There is this argument that I have that journalism is not journalism simply because of the form of dissemination. How do we reach out to people with our messages? Now, we know that most newspapers used to be in print paper earlier, and they used to be of a particular size, and they used to be tabloids which were not very serious in nature, a mixture of entertainment and also gossip a little bit. It would be about politics, crime, and their size used to be slightly smaller than the main newspapers. But is the size what really matters, or the form what really matters? What if a newspaper comes in the form of a booklet, like let's say a magazine, a typical size of a magazine? It would not cease to be a newspaper. Yeah. So whichever the medium, what makes news media is when we have to say something to the masses, and what we have to say is in public interest. It concerns public good. That's what journalism is. Uh, Not just that, anyone can do that, but of course, when we know how to verify facts, how to investigate, uh, and after verification, investigation, and good kind of writing that we are trained, not necessarily formally, but yes, we have practiced, and we are good at writing, or good with our voice if it's a podcast, or good with speaking if it's television or visual, and we disseminate it in any manner to the people. That's what we can call is media. Now, who is a journalist? These days, when people have their uh, YouTube channels, people who have not gone to any journalism school, and they have not been trained by any media organization or any senior journalist, uh, they are doing something that journalists do. So should we say that they are journalists, or should we say they are not journalists? No. If you ask me what I think, I would say that anybody who communicates with masses in public interest and is able to gain people's credibility because of the way this person investigates and expresses himself or herself, uh, that person can be called a journalist. Now, I do understand that many people feel this freedom may not be good because of fake news, and if somebody is not trained, they may not be able to disseminate news the way they should. But what will be the alternative to this? There was a time when government used to have this requirement uh, for journalists to be registered with a government body. Now, it was only voluntary, and it was only because the government could give you some subsidy, like the paper, uh, on which you print your newspaper will be cheaper for you, maybe one third the price. And when you have to send it by post to different cities in a country, then the postage will be just 5% or 10% of what it would cost you otherwise. And if you wanted to visit Parliament in person to attend a session to report on it, you needed to be registered with the government as an individual, and your media organization also needed to be registered. But whenever we invite the government to determine who can be journalists, or any other body if we form, who will decide that, okay, this is how you become a journalist. That's a very dangerous thing, because journalism is about using our constitutional freedom of expression. And I do it on behalf of the people. In India, actually, we don't have any separate Bill of Rights for press freedom. Our constitution does not mention press at all, because it presumes that every citizen has the freedom that a journalist requires to do their job, which is why it was never mentioned in the constitution, and I like that. Um, you know, so if I can use my freedom of expression to speak with hundreds or thousands or millions of people, there is nothing wrong with that, I would say, uh, because it's actually people who have the decision to, uh, you know, read my stories or watch my stories or listen to my stories or not. Uh, and the world should be free like this. So I would encourage us to embrace this inclusive definition of what news media is and who a journalist is, uh, especially because of what technology has made possible today. There are no mafias today that you need to be with them to be able to reach millions or billions of people. We can do it on our own as well, right? So let's keep that in mind, that uh, you know, news media, and being a journalist, these are things that are inclusive. However, it's very important for us to understand whatever medium we are choosing to communicate. Yeah. Who owns uh, that media? Because that's how we will be able to make certain decisions as to which media should we choose to speak to masses. Yeah. Now, generally, you would see that today, there are three different kinds of media ownerships, or this media ownership can be categorized into three parts. The very first is corporate owned media. These are businesses that are not only into media, but they do something else. They are maybe in power sector, or they could be in uh, the hospitality industry or production or whatever. But they also own media, right? And almost in all countries, you would find that some of the biggest newspapers or media organizations are owned by corporates. And the reason for that is that uh, media is a tool which is very powerful if you want to use it for political or business purposes. Yeah. So, which is why corporates love to own media. It's also about their ability to do public relations, their ability to do branding among millions and billions of people, which is what attracts them. Now, if you are in India, there are mainly three corporates. One is Adani Enterprises, Ambani Industries. Both are very unethical, very pro-government, uh, you know, entities. And then we have Z Media Corporation, which is not into many other things, but mostly into media and communication, but quite rich. Uh, if you look at the ability of the media that is owned by these three groups, I would say that they can reach the majority of the people in the country, uh, because they own some of the media which are very, very popular. They have a huge reach within the country. And then we have legacy media. Now, legacy media is newspapers that have been around for decades. And they have business models, which are allowing them to sustain themselves until today. Let me talk about the financial issues that the media is facing around the world today. There was a time when we didn't have social media and internet was not accessible by the majority of the people. Only few had access to the internet. So at that time, if anybody had to say anything to the masses, media was the only way they could speak to the masses. You could be the prime minister or the president or a minister, or you could be a film producer, you could be anyone, a business owner. If you needed to tell something to people, you had to go through the media. So advertising was a huge part of the revenue by any newspaper. So much so that the what media most newspapers did was that they uh, wanted a very wide circulation for their newspapers. So they would keep the price of the newspaper very low. It's almost like in India, it would be 1 rupee, 2 rupee, 1 rupee, 50 paisa. So that more number of people will buy it and read it, so that advertisers will be happy. They will continue to place ads in their newspapers. So newspapers and news channels were very rich, very powerful at the time, because they were the mediators between the the elite, all kinds of elite, and ordinary people, citizens like you and I. But then came the technical disruption, first through Google and then through social media. Yeah. Now, we need to understand that what social media and Google can give you as an advertiser, media cannot do that. It's very easy for us to enjoy free Facebook, free X, free Instagram, LinkedIn, and also use Gmail. The majority of the people in the world use Gmail as the form of their communication, individual communication. And we use Google search. Now, what we forget is that what Google does is that Google um, tracks everybody's activities. Google knows, for example, that I am a journalist and I'm not a Hindu nationalist, that I live in this town called Noida. It knows my age. It knows that I'm interested in cameras. It has profiled me so well that it can show me the ads that I'm likely to respond to. Now, these targeted ads, not that you use your money to advertise among hundreds and thousands of people, but only 10,000 of them are actually interested in your product. But here, Google can say we will only show it to people who searched for it, uh, in the last month or in the last week. And so you can target your ads. So which is why, advertising started moving towards social media and Google and other online advertisers and away from the media. Now, people were not used to paying high subscription for newspapers. Uh, so now media very suddenly had this big financial jolt. We didn't know now what to do. Difficult for us to even, be able to give salaries to employees every month. And that's when corporates saw an opportunity. So they started investing in media in terms of buying shares in these media companies. So much so that many of them have become the owners because they have the majority shares in many of the media around the world. Um, you know. So legacy media is either owned by corporate since before the technical disruption, or they have created business model for themselves. They have diversified within the uh, you know communication industry that they are able to do good business to be able to sustain themselves, sustain their journalism financially. And many such newspapers and news channels are there, but most of them, uh, to be able to sustain financially, have compromised, not only in India, but pretty much around the world. Uh, so you would see that these days most surveys suggest that the majority of people are not news consumers but news avoiders. It's a new term that has entered the industry, news avoiders, and their number is bigger than the news consumers because people don't trust the media because of legacy media, how they have compromised. You don't know whether it's fake news, or you should believe in this report that they feature. And then we have smaller independent media. Like if you look at the Indian media scene, you would have The Wire, The Caravan, Scroll, News Laundry, News Minute, News Click, and Newsreel Asia, where I work, which is my news organization. And you would see that these are among the only media that is actually telling the truth, or that is not pro-government. It like independently, it looks at issues and uh, tells the truth. And these are the media organizations that are uh, targeted by the government for that purpose, because the government uh, rightly thinks that it's difficult for them to spread their propaganda if these independent newspapers continue to do well financially. So it's tough for every single organization that is listed here financially, but they all are surviving. They all have different business models, uh, to sustain themselves. And then let's also look at social media, because that also serves as news media, depending on who is communicating through social media, because many journalists are there. And if we look at these four companies, uh, one is, of course, Meta, which owns Facebook and Instagram by Mark Zuckerberg. And then we have Google, and Google also owns YouTube. And then we have Microsoft. So LinkedIn is actually Microsoft's. And then we have X, or which used to be called Twitter until recently. And we know that it's Elon Musk who owns it. But look at these two public traded companies, Google and Microsoft. You would find these two names that own the majority shares in Google and Microsoft, Vanguard and BlackRock. These are huge financial and investment firms, and they are extremely powerful because when it comes to communication, they have a hold on the communication in the world. Let's also look at let me see whether it's coming. Okay, it's coming later, so let me proceed. So you have a fairly good picture of what media is, both news media and social media, and the crisis that media is going through. Now, at this time, we want to use this media for political engagement, right? But first, let's look at what exactly is political engagement, what can be called political engagement. Yeah. So here I was thinking, let me uh, make some categories of engagement, uh, especially in terms of who are you speaking to bring about any change. Because we are talking about collective life. So the change has to be collective. It's not just you do something on your own and change happens. We are talking about public life. So the very first is when you speak with or when your target audience is the system, the state, the government, the courts, uh, you know. So how do we engage with the system? First is, of course, if we are above 18 years of age, it is through voting. You know, I have a vote, so I can contribute to the defeat or victory of a political party. And because of my vote, politicians care about me, because they know if I am angry, my vote may go to another party. It's a huge power we have, voting. Sometimes we become very cynical and we think that, what really happens, I already know what the results will be, and we don't vote. Uh, but we don't see our vote uh, as a tool of resistance. Imagine if you allow a bad politician to win with a huge margin. That will be a public statement, a wrong public statement, just because if I choose not to vote. So we need to understand that because of my right to vote, politicians care about me, whatever little they do. It's because of this. So I should use it and I should contribute, even if it means only resisting a bad person, which in itself holds value. And then we can participate in peaceful protests, just join. Either you organize it, or when you know of a protest for a right reason, you just go and, express solidarity and show that you are also protesting as a citizen, but of course in a peaceful manner. And let's also not underestimate the role of protests. We may think that nothing will happen even if 100,000 people gather. But if you look at the reaction of the government, you would find that they are always trying their best to not allow you to protest, because they know when you protest, something happens. No. And no government is blatant enough to say, uh, that's what I want to do. A politician says, and I will do that. Do whatever you can. Nobody speaks that language. Some of the countries where repression of citizens is the worst, let's say, be it North Korea or China, what you would notice is that they use propaganda. They say that the West, America, is our enemy, and uh, you know and they are after us, which is why there is a national security uh, issue here, so we cannot give you rights. No, we cannot allow you to criticize because it will be, these protests or criticism will be misused by America. Uh, no. So they all use some sort of a narrative to carry on with their authoritarian rule, which means that your opinion and my opinion matters to these politicians, no matter how evil they are. And when we participate in a peaceful protest, uh, we are actually going against their propaganda, their claims about legitimacy. There is this concept I think we should all start talking about more and more. It's a very simple term in political science. We call it social contract, which is the very basis of democracy and government, collective governance, which simply says that uh, ordinary people, choose to obey their authorities in exchange for the protection that they receive from the government. So it's like a contract. I will willingly obey police, I will willingly obey laws, because in return, the government that is making the laws and that is enforcing these laws, will protect me, my life, and will bring order for collective living. So it is entirely based on trust. Something happened in India. It started with Sri Lanka. First, of course, it was the Arab Spring, where revolutions happened. But if you look at what happened in Sri Lanka, so drastic that people got into first they protested, of course, and then they stopped obeying the government, like the majority of the people. And then they got into the house of the president, Rajapaksas, and made them run for their lives. They had to flee the country, both Rajapaksas, both brothers, Gota and the other. And then we saw something similar happening in Bangladesh with Sheikh Hasina, who was a bad politician. And as an Indian, I'm ashamed that we sheltered her, in our country. So what happened there? It was a breach of this social contract. When people stop trusting the government, then they stop also obeying the government. And when people do that, no government can survive that, And now then we see that something similar happened in also Nepal. And those of you who watch Myanmar, you would see that more than 80% of the country is not under the control of the military junta. Only less than 20% of territory they have, because people, all of them got together against the military junta. And it all starts with lack of trust. And when we do peaceful protest, what we are politically, if you see in political science theory, if you see what it really means, is that we are saying that we are on the verge of losing trust in you. And there is nothing worse than that for any government. So very important for us to express solidarity with protest. But again, I would emphasize peacefully and be careful, because easily peaceful protests can also turn violent, but it's a risk that is worth taking. And then we can write to officials. Nobody can stop us from writing like old style mail, a letter to any government official, or we can organize a campaign of letters, that may be 1,000 letters we will send to one particular individual official or minister, to put our point across. Or we could start tagging. Let's say 1,000 people will tag the concerned minister's office to say what you want to say. Then there are public interest litigations uh, where you as a citizen can go to the court, High Court or the Supreme Court, and say that you are aggrieved by an issue, and there are hundreds and thousands of people who are also going through uh, that issue, and the government and the court can look into that. It could be about a law that you think is not uh, constitutional. It violates some the letter or the spirit of the constitution in any manner, or it could be about some construction you have seen coming up which you think will harm people. So there is this provision for public interest litigations, at least in India. I'm not sure about other countries in Africa. If you also do have such provisions, should be used. Then there is this civil disobedience, where we again, it's related to social contract, that I say I will not do something if I think that is not justifiable. So I show disobedience, civil disobedience, non-violence completely. But it's like curfew has been imposed, but I still stand on the road to say that, I'm not happy with what is happening. But be extremely careful when you engage in this manner. Then we can seek press coverage. Even as citizens, some of you can get together and hold a press conference, or you uh, write to editors, write to the letter to the editor uh, to say what you want to say. And then you can also write uh, open editorials, like opinion pieces or analytical pieces to newspapers. And if you really have a point, you would see that newspapers are happy to publish your uh, pieces that you send to them. Of course, if you have done a good job. So these are some ways that we can speak to the power. Uh, we can address the system. Then many a times we feel that that's the only way. If I can speak to the people high up, only then I can bring about change. But actually, looking at what's really happening around the world, and especially in India, it's the other way around. You would find that when you address your fellow citizens, you can be more fruitful. Um, and the reason is that, many people believe in top-down model of change, that for change to trickle down to the ground, the change will start at the top. But if you look at the behavior and the attitude of the people quite on the top in India and many other countries, including in Nigeria, do you think they do not know what they are doing? They know exactly what they are doing, and they are doing it deliberately. It's part of their plan. So why do you think they will change? What can you say to them that they will change? And you would see that authoritarianism is like a package. It's not only that the government has turned authoritarian, but they have also infiltrated into all government institutions and the courts, police, military. They all become like one with the government. So where do you go? So again, the tool here is of uh, communicating that uh, the government has violated the social contract, that we are beginning to that we cannot trust the government any longer. And when a large number of people says so, and the governments will be really afraid, because for their survival, they do need people to believe them, to trust them. Yeah. So again, we come back to the importance of social media here, that social media is a good medium to communicate with fellow citizens. But of course, I would say that algorithms are not that great many a times we find, but you would see that uh, when you have an account on social media, it's either a personal account or it is registered as a page, like a company's account or an organization's account. It's very difficult to communicate on pages or through pages, because here social media thinks that to be able to reach even your own followers, you should pay. So advertise, on social media. Otherwise, they will not. You may even have 1 million followers, and you will be surprised that when you post something, not more than 2 or 3 likes will come, because Facebook or any other social media platform will not even show your content to all your followers, because that's what the deal is for them. But if it's a personal account, it will be more fair. It will first show it to a few of your friends and see whether they are interested in your content. When they begin to respond, then the platform will say that, okay, this is something interesting. So let it show it to more people. So it will, you will be able to reach many more people through your personal account. So good to use those personal accounts. And then you can also write columns in newspapers, or you can do blogging. Uh, if you're writing for newspapers, of course, I would just say that you need to learn how to write well and read good newspapers so that you understand what good writing is and you can emulate that. And when it comes to blogging, I would say blogging also is something which is extremely, extremely powerful, because you have the freedom. You are not subjected to, you are not subject to what an editor thinks, whether this content should go out or not. You decide and you post it and you hope that people will read it. Now, the biggest problem with blogging is that we presume that our websites or our blogs are to be understood only by humans. This is the title, now this is a photograph for the piece, and then here the body of the article is. What we fail to understand is that machines have to read to be able to understand what your content is and where is what kind of content it is. We need to understand that most people come to a website either through a search engine or when somebody has shared it on social media. Yeah. So how will search engines know that you exist? And when it comes to certain issues, you are an expert. So we have to do certain things at the back end so that machines will be able to understand my content, so that Google, Yahoo, and many other, Bing, all these search engines will recognize you and will come to you to look for content that people are looking for. Yeah. So then we need some technical knowledge here. Uh, and it's also important these days, not just search engines, but also AI, artificial intelligence like ChatGPT, should be able to come to your website and get information from it. Uh, and you have to do certain things again at the back end to be able to invite ChatGPT to come to your site. So there are these two things, SEO and AIO. that is like search engine optimization and artificial intelligence optimization. Uh, so you need to implement these two, and you have to be structurally good in your website. Uh, by structurally good, what I mean is that it's not only that what you have put in bold and what is on the top is the headline. You have to do HTML tags that we use. I know it's a technical term, but we do something to tell all the machines that this is what the title is, this is what paragraph is, this is what second paragraph is. So this is all marked, uh, so that's how we are discovered by the search engines, and my content will be able to reach large audience. And then we can also uh, do campaigning, any kind of a campaign we could start. Just give me a second, I'll close the door, some noise coming from within my house. Yeah, sorry. Right. So it can be any kind of a campaign, including on social media, where you, let's say, tell all your followers that for 1 month you will be talking about one particular issue. You know, uh, so you have a series of posts on one particular thing. You could also make something that people can use on their profiles, to uh, identify with you or with the campaign that you have started. So a lot can be done so that we, reach our fellow citizens. Now let's look at what role media can play in our political engagement. First, let's look at, we did look at the media ownership, but also let's look at what is the objective of news media. And we are talking about an ideal situation. This is what is taught. This is what it should be. On paper, at least, we say that these are the objectives of newspaper, any newspaper or news media. First is to inform, to tell what has happened truthfully. And second, it is to educate, is to also explain what has happened. And then to watchdog, to keep an eye on the political elite as to what they are doing or what they are not doing, what plans they are making, what policies they are making. And then to promote public discussion, uh, by writing, we raise issues so that even if people are not talking about something, they understand the importance of that development or issue, and they begin to participate in public discussion. That people begin to talk about a particular thing. And then E is set agenda. Now, this is extremely important. This is like make or break for any democracy. Now, by setting agenda, what we mean is that what is it that most people are talking about in a particular country or in a city or in a state or in a region? A lot of effort is put by politicians to set the agenda. Now, if you look at India is a very good example of this. If you look at the economic issues that we are going through, the majority of the people of the country are not doing well economically. And if you look at issues related to governance, like how our governments, uh, schools are functioning, how well our healthcare system is functioning, like government hospitals, dispensaries. If you look at connectivity of all, villages, if you look at how many people have electricity 24 hours, or how many people have tap water in their houses. We have huge issues. For decades, we have seen that the situation has not improved much. Yet, election after election, you know, we talk about various issues, but not uh, governance. And the reason is that, uh, you know, political parties are able to set the agenda for us. Uh, while we should be talking about healthcare and education, we talk about whether Muslims are good or not, whether Christians really convert by offering money. No. Um, so you would see that in fact, I personally believe that one reason why Christians and Muslims are attacked in India is also to divert people's attention away from real issues. There is a lot of talk about fake news, but we hardly identify fake issues, which could be more dangerous, because we should be talking about governance, but we are talking about things that have to do with Hindu nationalism. Uh, and what we don't understand sometimes is that even when we criticize the government on something, they are still happy with that, as long as you do not talk about governance, what is their prime responsibility. And they have not, of course, done a good job over the last 5 years. And when it's time for election, they will say, okay, this mosque actually needs to be demolished so that we can have a Hindu temple there, because that's originally was the site of a uh, Hindu temple. So everybody will get busy with that. Should we do that? Should we not do that? Of course, we will criticize. But what we forget, yes, of course, we need to criticize such statements. But what we forget is that we are using our limited time and efforts and focus on something that a political party wants us to see as the agenda. They have set that agenda, and it will only serve them, whether they win that debate or they don't. So it's good to focus on real issues, and it's good to identify political parties attempt to divert attention and set agendas that will benefit them. Yeah. And unfortunately, media allows politicians to set the agenda unwittingly. I'm not saying that they necessarily do that deliberately, but it's simply because media has been very reactionary. Journalists think that their role is to wait for things to happen and then report and respond when something happens. So, which is why people in news industry would say, I don't know what I'll be doing next week because I don't know what will happen. It depends on what will happen, what I will be covering. Yeah. So very, very passive way of looking at journalism. Now, because of which, uh, governments are able to set the agenda. They will say something, or they will create riots or violence so that you will just talk about that, and that will become the agenda for everyone for their debates or discourse. And one of the objectives of news media is also to advocate for something, to persuade people, or to say that this is how things need to be, which is a legitimate form of journalism. The only thing is that we should not uh, create any confusion between what is news report and what is opinion piece, right? So that's the only requirement is there, but nobody says that journalists or media should not seek to share opinion or advocate for something. Now, if you look at the reality that was on paper, in reality, because of, again, the financial trouble that media are going through, their objective is to serve and protect the commercial and political interests of the publisher. So it matters who is the owner of a particular newspaper or a media, and also which political parties is this business group aligned with now. And then it also engages in promoting political ideologies. Like in India, very clearly, that certain newspapers and media organizations try to promote Hindu nationalism, very clear. So that's one of their uh, objectives. And also to maximize profit, no matter how, whether it's a coverage of rape, gang rape, violence, killing, as long as they get more views, they can make more money and they are happy. And then also to promote and protect democracy, which is done by few media houses. Again, those independent newspapers or news media organizations. Now, if you look at the objectives of social media, they don't even say that they are doing any public service. Of course, they are business entities. So it is to maximize profit and grow in influence and power, right? If they want, they can send a message to a very, very, very large number of people. So if they are aligned with any particular political party or political interests or business interests, they can easily help them. So this does not align with our objectives, but does not mean that we cannot use social media or news media to our advantage. But of course, we need to outsmart both, bad media and social media. If we look at what are the stumbling blocks for media, one is, of course, the business and legal model. Now, legal model here is important because if you own a media and you are a for-profit company, let's say private limited company, there the advantage is that there is a buffer between you and others, anybody who can sue you, because you have limited liability, right? But if you have a trust or a not-for-profit entity, then the liability is almost unlimited, So you can be jailed. If you have a house in your name, they will say, okay, what about the house? You will lose your house. And if you are not able to pay, then your personal liability that you can be jailed for not being able to pay. If you lose a lawsuit, let's say if it's a defamation suit by a big corporate or a political party or individual. So the problem is now, if you want to raise money to run your media, you need to be not for profit. But if you choose that route, the risk is huge. And if you, have a for-profit company, then difficult for you to raise money. You have to create a business model, and it's extremely difficult. And then because of the lack of revenue, it's the corporate, entities that own the majority of the media. And then there is this self-censorship. around the world, but more so in India, because you need to be careful. You understand, you see examples that, your fellow journalists uh, are facing cases, legal cases, or they have been jailed, they have been beaten up. Then, of course, you begin to self-censor what you say. Then it's also polarization. Media is either pro-government, right-wing leaning, or it is left-leaning. Very clearly, you can tell which media stands where politically. It should not be so. We are for the citizens. We will maintain equal distance with all political ideologies, but we fail to do that. Then we have limited reach. It's not easy when start a media. You know that it's not easy to reach people. You need to have money. You need to use technology, uh, to be able to do that. Now, if you look at the solutions, one is that we need to recognize that people's minds and hearts are the battlefield. It's not the top-down model of change, but it is a bottom-up model of change that we can look at. Again, that social contract, if we keep that in mind, that if a really large number of people say that we don't trust the government or we don't believe in some of their policies, it will make a difference more than going to a court sometimes. And then we should seek acknowledgement even without accountability. By acknowledgement, what I mean is that we at least acknowledge that something bad has happened. We acknowledge the role of somebody in an incident or development. If there is communal violence, for example, against a particular community, we are able to establish it not legally, but at least we point our fingers at the people who should be blamed for that violence. Legally, something may or may not happen, but acknowledgement in itself is half the battle won, because it's first acknowledgement and then the accountability comes. And even if there is no accountability, at least there is some acknowledgement. That's very important. For example, let's say you are driving with your spouse and somebody cuts you, in front of you, and you are very angry. You say that, why is this guy driving like this? And if your spouse says, no, I think you don't need to be angry, this guy is driving all right, you would feel so frustrated, versus, you cannot go after that guy. It's not advisable, but at least you want somebody to acknowledge that, yes, if your spouse says, yeah, you're right, he shouldn't be driving like that, you feel that, okay, you feel better, right? And also acknowledgement is also part of documentation. It like later, when people know publicly, when you have acknowledged something, some guilt, then of course you have hope for a change. And then we need to outsmart social media algorithms. Now, this is purely about technology. So I would really encourage, if you want to make a change, you either need to have the money to, hire or employ people who know technology, or you know the technology yourself so that you can outsmart uh, social media algorithms and Google, how this whole world of search engines functions. And we also need to adopt a non-confrontational approach. People do not uh, change when you confront them. Uh, it's better to be gentle. It's better to stay on the topic, deal with it scientifically, use political science principles, use principles that are used in economics, rather than attacking individuals or parties that this party is bad. So the objective of what I do is not that it's not to bring a government down, it's to bring about a change. Uh, you know, so if we uh, take that approach, we would find that, we have more influence. We are able to change people's mindsets. And then, of course, last is that we need to strive for excellence. Um, Political engagement is not something which we can seek half-heartedly without any preparation. But at the same time, I would say that with artificial intelligence, things have become easier for us, in terms of understanding an issue, or even if we want to write better, write more sharply, uh, we can make use of AI. But at the same time, I would say AI is not a substitute for your wisdom and your knowledge. Unless you know what is good writing, for example, you will not be able to generate good writing with AI, with ChatGPT or any other such AI platform, because it would do a terrible job. I mean, as a writer, I am saying I'm not at all happy, not reliable, but at the same time, I find it very useful because I can make it do what I want it to do. But what do I really want to do? That's very important. And I will know what I want to do only when I know what good writing is, when I understand the issue well. But yes, things have become far easier than earlier. Okay, that's the end of my presentation.
Okay, friends, welcome back. So now let's take time to interact with Mr. Vishal. He's with us now. So as usual, you can raise your hand, put up your thumbs up, or directly ask questions.
Thank you, Vishal sir, for your very informative, comprehensive presentation. And you have been enlightening many of us, even through your different sessions. So, just want to thank you and appreciate you for your contribution.
Thank you.
I would like to understand when communities encounter fake or misleading narratives online, what practical strategies can they use to create effective counter narratives? That is the one question that I have, but I have one more, if you would like to take up. Do you think that that independent journalism, like the work done by Ravish Kumar and some other people, uh, uh, other than non-mainstream reporters, can
Mhm.
influence public opinion as effectively as mainstream media? So these are my two questions. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And we are connected on social media.
Yes.
And yeah, I have known you for quite some time. And yeah, so your first question is, how do we counter fake news? Yeah. Now, I think very first thing we need to understand about fake news is that it is being enabled by what we call in psychology confirmation bias, which means that when a society gets divided along religious lines or caste lines or in any other manner, um, And when there is a clash of interests and ideas and ideologies, people cease to uh, be objective, and they begin to cherry pick facts that confirm their existing beliefs. So that is what is happening when a right-wing supporter comes across anything that is against Muslims or Christians. They will not care about verifying whether it's factual or not. They will just amplify it. They will share it on uh, social media. So one is that fake news, although it's very dangerous, of course, because it can create riots, and it has in the past. Uh, but we need to understand that it is only feeding uh, people who already are of a particular kind, those who want to believe in that fake news. That's very important for us to know. And now, how do we counter this, or how do we now disseminate a counter narrative, a narrative that counters that fake news? So one, if we remember that we should not be confrontational in what we are saying, how we are saying it, because when people have confirmation biases, they will never want to read how you are countering it. They will simply reject it because it's not about facts for them. It's about what they already believe in. They want to believe in what they believe in because they are invested in that. They have been publicly saying that, oh, this government is so good, Hindu nationalism is so good. And now when you counter them, it will hurt them. So they will certainly not want to read your stuff and correct themselves. So now the one is that we should try not to be confrontational. And second is that we should humanize issues. That's very important. We should humanize communities, especially communities that are being targeted, because as a trend, what we have seen is that before violence, politicians or organizations will first dehumanize a community by propagating things like, oh, Muslims are terrorists, or Christians convert by offering money. They believe in a foreign religion. They eat cow. And, all these things will come first, and then the attacks follow. And when attacks follow, then people are largely quiet. They don't condemn the government or the organization that is behind those attacks. Yeah. So it's important for us to understand these things. Now, it's not very easy to humanize a community. There is a communication challenge there. And storytelling is something which is the best form of communication if you want to humanize, community. What I have observed, Mr. Vaibhav, is that when we report on any incident of attack on Christians, we only just share the name of the pastor or the Christian worker or an individual who has been attacked and expect people to empathize with this person. But that's not how nobody empathizes with a name or the age of a person necessarily. We need to uh, know who this person actually is. So, storytelling is something which requires us to first generate empathy for a person and then talk about how this person suffered. You know, uh, so I think we need to uh, use storytelling more than the traditional form of communication, which is simply sharing the information. The problem is not that people are not informed. The problem is that they do things despite being informed. So the problem is in the human heart, uh, and to be able to reach the human hearts with a form of communication, it is storytelling. Uh, so I would really encourage us Christians to use storytelling more uh, to deal with fake news and other issues that we face. What was the second? That are they able to, are individual influencers or journalists like Ravish able to influence as much as the traditional media? Uh, I would say yes, but at the same time, I would say because we can see polarization also within the media. So what we see happening is that each side, the left-leaning media and the right-leaning media, are catering to their respective audiences. So the language that they speak is meant for their target audience. They're not seeking to change, like Ravish is not seeking to change a right-wing supporter to stop supporting the right wing. He is actually us who are independent minded, or those who are left leaning in the Indian context. It's a very different thing, you know, to be left leaning here. So he is only telling us that, yes, we are right where we stand, uh, you know. So in any case, he's not seeking that kind of influence, but he wants to maintain our existing beliefs about democracy and civil and political rights and inclusion and not exclusion, equality, etc. But in terms of his reach, I think he's doing an amazing work. And also this guy who lives in Germany, what's his name? That young guy.
I mean,
Dhruv Rathi.
Dhruv
Yeah.
Rathi also. I mean, they have, their reach is amazing. I would say that Dhruv Rathi may end up influencing more number of people than Ravish Kumar uh, because he sticks to the issue, Dhruv Rathi, uh, wherein whereas Ravish Kumar becomes more confrontational. So he's likely to be liked mostly by left-leaning people. Though I like what he's doing, he's courageous, and I really appreciate him for what he's doing. There is a question, should I read? There are people using social media platform. This is Miss Christina. There are people using social media platforms to promote their content. As a church, it's time to start using social media platform to engage people. Yeah, certainly. Why not? This is an open field. Anybody can. And if we have the good message, why should we not do that, even when it comes to promoting, including paid promotion? So I don't see anything wrong in that. Then there is another one. Can algorithms on one's social media be compromised or wrongly represent someone's interests? How would one know if they have been hacked through algorithmic presentations on their feed before it affects those that follow them? I have not heard about this hacking through algorithm. Maybe I don't know, I'm ignorant about it. I have not come across this term. However, yes, there are times when a particular platform, be it X or Instagram or Facebook, they may do what we call shadow banning you. Uh, so where you are not notified, you are not told anything, but quietly they change the algorithm in such a way that your content will cease to be visible to your followers or to anybody else. That, yes, I have come across, but not this. But what you could actually do is you could check, like if you know you have access to one of your followers, their phone, you could just check, post something and see whether it's appearing on their, uh, you know, on their timeline or not after you have posted it. But I would plead ignorance about hacking through algorithm. If you could explain further, or maybe I could move to the next question. His research is strong. Dhruv Rathi has a strong research. Yes, certainly, certainly. And he has professional researchers that he has employed. He has a whole team, and he listens to the team in terms of how he should speak, what he should say, and he trusts his researchers. So completely, yes, agree with you. He has a great research team. It's a teamwork, actually. And so is true with Ravish as well. He has reporters as well who he has hired.
Okay, there's a question by Kristen. Kristen, please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Vishal. Thank you very much for the wonderful presentation. Very informative on the insights about how we can utilize the media for political engagement. I would like to ask, usually faith leaders, they engage through the interpretation of texts, and this is something that has to do with hermeneutics. But given the influence or the widespread use of the social media, there's no one who can now control interpretation. Anyone can interpretation can be contested, and anyone can push his or her interpretation, even if it is not transformative, even if it spreads misinformation, even if it fuels injustice. So how can, as faith leaders, churches, and so on, even just ordinary religious people, how can we safeguard this aspect, or how can this be overcome?
Thank you. It's a very important question, Mr. Crispin. I acknowledge that. Now, here there is this tension between the freedom of expression, that everybody should be free to express their views, and the international view is that for only two reasons you should restrict somebody's freedom to speak or express themselves. One is if it incites violence, and two, if it incites any kind of discrimination. If it's a call to indulge in violence or discrimination, it should be banned, you should be restricted. Otherwise, people have the right to speak up. And so I don't see how you can. So when you are worried about somebody misinterpreting a particular Bible verse or a portion, or if it's false doctrine that is being propagated through social media. And I know in Nigeria, at least I know that there have been many such cases. Of course, in Kenya as well, I'm sure everywhere. I mean, in India also, it's a global phenomenon. So now, when you have to counter that, you should not seek to restrict their freedom. The focus should not be there that he should not be able to say what he is saying. They have the right to do so. What we need to do is that we need to reach their followers. And the challenge is in that, I would say. So the people who are believing in this person, how can you communicate to them with the right interpretation of the Bible, right? So I would say that here, paid promotion is something which we won't call it paid promotion, but placing an ad would be more useful here, because you can tell Facebook that you want to reach the audience of this particular person. And I'm sure this person is using a page and not a personal profile. Is that correct? Is it his church page, or is it his personal account on social media?
Not related to a particular individual
Okay.
or
Okay,
organization.
right. So that's what we
Okay.
need to find. Mostly you would see that it's not the individual account necessarily. It's a page. And when it's a page, then you can actually target their audience through your ad and reach them and display your message. So you can counter this person. But I would advise that you never call for restrictions on such people's freedom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. There's a question by Isaac.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you. I mean, thank you for the session. It was wonderful. A lot of
Thank you.
information. Still trying to I think grasp some of the ideas. I wanted to ask you that your idea about storytelling, right, versus the idea that only facts, or while when it comes to news, only facts should be put forward. Don't you think when it comes to storytelling, there is an attached bias towards what you want to suggest or what you want to say? Versus what, as a news anchor or news person, I just have to put the facts forward and let freedom work within the community, and let people choose. And yeah, so that would be my question about storytelling versus.
Thank you. It's a very important question, and I'm often asked this question. So my answer is that it's never one particular genre of communication that becomes responsible for, or that facilitates fake news or opinionated news. Because if you see the kind of fake news that we are talking about, they are not coming in the form of storytelling. They are coming in the form of news reports. Yeah. So any genre, any kind of writing, or any kind of communication can be used for fake news as long as there is intention. Yeah. So in fact, it is when you understand what storytelling is, you will struggle to use it for wrong reasons. You can, of course, and people do, but does not mean that it will be like opinionated like that. Like, difficult to think of an example right now. But there is this YouTube channel by the New York Times called Opinion Documentaries. Yeah. In short, we call it op docs. And you have, you see how storytelling is being used in journalism. Yeah. Now they are very clearly saying opinion documentaries. Yeah. But when you watch these documentaries, nobody is sharing their opinion like that. It's just that storytelling is opinionated, like you rightly mentioned. Uh, so, you know, that's why they are very clearly marking it as opinion and not as a news report. So in journalism, sharing your opinion is legitimate as long as you say what it is. So I'm not suggesting that we do not or we stop doing news reports. I mean, news reports are important for documentation and other purposes. But especially if we are looking at changing people's hearts and minds, that's when storytelling becomes important. And storytelling cannot be done without creating credibility for yourself because people know that you are sharing your perspective. You are kind of cherry picking things from a particular person's life and not telling everything. But that is, the more you work, the more you realize that actually we do everything is opinionated. For example, photography. Unless you have 360-degree photograph, it is opinionated because you are showing 10% of what was visible by creating a frame. So the photography is essentially excluding a lot of things to create a frame and showing what you want people to see. So there is this bias is there. Similarly, when it comes to writing, when we do research, let's say I have to do a news story, I have 100 points. Does not mean that I'll include all those 100 points in my news report. I will be the judge and choose that only 10 I will, 90 I will not use. So there also you see your opinion matters. So all genres are opinionated, in my opinion. So it has to do with the intention and the credibility of the journalist or the content creator, and people see through that. You get audience only when people are able to trust you. But great question, Mr. Isaac. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Isaac and Mr. Vishal. There is one comment and a question from Christina. I'll just read it. Great session. Power, importance, and art of communication, especially when there is unity in numbers, but also getting the right active audience that would also take actions, not just consume it as entertainer or entertainment or info. The question is, any good resources to learn storytelling or for citizen journalism?
Yes, certainly, Miss Christina. There is this curriculum which I have prepared. So currently, my organization, Newsreel Asia, is conducting workshops on narrative journalism. Narrative journalism is like storytelling journalism, you could call it, along with the High Commission of Canada in 5 countries in South Asia. So we have developed curriculum for that, which explains everything about storytelling. So I could share that with you. Don't share it with many others, but I can share it to this group. Maybe I can send it to Mr. Isaac, and then he can send it to all of you who are interested in reading it.
Okay, thank you so much. I think with that, we would take time to close this. So thank you so much, Mr. Vishal, for again for your availability this year. Also, I think we have been every batch is blessed by what you are doing and also the insights and the information you pass it on to each one of them. So we are really encouraged. We are grateful to you as TRACI and also as all the participants. So thank you so much.